Yo, what is going on, everybody? It is Tyler here, and today I am bringing you the first episode of a new Road to Glory series I'm doing here on College Football 25. That is right. We will be starting off a wide receiver Road to Glory today. So the main series that I'm doing right now, the first one with the running back Austin Morris, I'm playing that on Heisman, but we're just going to keep this one on All-American for now. If it ends up being like too easy or whatever, I'll up it to Heisman. But for now, I just want to see, how it plays on All-American. Especially, got to get used to playing receiver. So the story we're going with here. Frankie Foster, the little brother of Tony Foster. If you don't know who Tony Foster is, that was my Madden 24 wide receiver superstar mode series. Pretty much the series that helped me start, growing this channel a little bit, So I figured, how can we keep that alive on the channel in some sort of way? We're going to bring in Tony's little brother, Frankie Foster. That is right. Now, it's going to be a little bit different as he's a different type of receiver, and he's smaller than Tony. So he's, not as big, as he's only going to be 5'10", 5'11" or so. And he's a little bit different style receiver as well, and didn't really get looked at much in high school up until the last year or two due to, big bro Tony going crazy in the NFL. He won 2 MVP awards. So, little brother Frankie ended up getting 3 stars. So a contributor journey here. Figured it'd be interesting to go with the 3-star. We'll start at 67 overall, man, so it's going to be a grind. But, might as well see what we can do. So, of course, we're going wide receiver here. And like I said, going to be a little bit different than how Tony was. Tony was a deep threat. He was physical. Hell, he did it all, man. So, the difference here is, like I said, Frankie's a little bit smaller as well. So you can see, how our ratings would start with each archetype here and what type of physical and mental abilities we would have. So when making this decision, remember, we're like 5'10", 5'11", a little bit smaller receiver, man. Didn't get looked at much up until the last year to a high school. So the archetype we're going with is route runner. That's right, Frankie Foster. Gonna be a speedster out there. Probably just cutting across the middle of the field all day. Running nice routes, double moves, all that good stuff. You see the different physical abilities right there that we can have. Got cutter, press pro, recoup, double dip, and sure hands. And then the mentals, you got winning time, the natural, team player, and best friend. So we can max out most of the attribute categories here. IQ, just not the last spot, and then power, not the last 2 spots, but definitely not worried about power. We're a smaller receiver out there, going to be using our speed to our advantage. I will say, though, as a route runner archetype here, I don't like that it starts as low as it does here. I think it should probably start 1 notch higher. But also at the same time, we are starting as a 67 overall, so got to keep that in mind. Going with that 3-star journey, man, being a contributor. So here's a quick look at Frankie Foster. Gonna be rocking number 86. Tony and him. From the Miami area, South Beach. So South Florida will be the pipeline for Frankie Foster here. Going with 5'10", 180 pounds to start. And I might update some of the equipment and stuff once, we commit to our school here soon. And get to see, the color schemes and how they look. So even though it said 67 overall would be our starting point, it looks like we're actually going to start at 66 instead. Which, not a huge difference there by any means, but here you go. The 3-star wide receiver out of Miami, Florida, Frankie Foster, little brother of the NFL star Tony Foster. We'll see how we can do. So here's Donna Harper, the local TV reporter. Got to figure out what's important for us. So out of these, of course, a couple of them are very good answers. I want to compete for a natty. I want to play in a prestigious conference, and I would definitely want to find a program that'll help develop us because, starting at that 3-star, 66 overall, it's going to be a grind. So thinking maybe we go with that. Get on the field early, definitely not important for me here. I'm not too worried about it until, once we get into like our 2nd or 3rd season. Hopefully by then we're, dialed in and out there getting a lot of playing time. And I'm sure, even with the low start, we'll probably be able to grind to get some playing time in our freshman season, depending on where we go, of course. But when it came down to it, I was going to go between the finding a program that will develop me or the competing for a national championship. I'm going to go ahead and take that one. So next up out of these three, it's NIL deal opportunities or state-of-the-art athletic facilities or a coaching staff with significant experience. So I'm not going to go with the NIL one. So it's going to be one of these bottom two. We're just going to go state-of-the-art athletic facilities here. And out of these last couple, we got to choose between being close enough that my family can attend games or getting eventually drafted and playing professionally. And that's what we're going to go with. Definitely not too worried about staying in Florida. Definitely not too many good schools out there right now. The Gators definitely down in the dumps. Florida State seems to be in shambles after what happened to them at the end of last season. But, still looking good to lead the ACC possibly there. But either way, we have no problem with leaving the state of Florida. So we'll choose getting eventually drafted and playing professionally. Can't wait to watch your career blossom. All right, let's go. So checking it out, we definitely have some starter options. And of course, depending on what kind of scheme you're in, being the third receiver on the depth chart could list you as the starter. It just depends, like I said. As you see here, these teams have us listed as a starter. The top three here, Nevada, New Mexico State, and Georgia State, all third on the depth chart. And then after that, you start seeing the second string options. And then after that, it's all bench options. But, Frankie Foster wants to go somewhere where he can win a natty. So all these teams at the top with the most interest are most likely not going to be where he wants to go. So Frankie's going to go ahead and continue to mull over some of his options. And I'll come back in a sec and let you know what school Frankie decides to go to. So the final top 5 list for Frankie Foster is going to be West Virginia, Oklahoma State, Texas, Coastal Carolina, and Arizona. And he's got West Virginia atop of that list. Because in case you ain't know, Frankie modeled his game after Tavon Austin. One of the college greats at the wide receiver position, man. Was absolutely electrifying watching him at West Virginia back in the day. So Frankie, as a young kid, remembers watching Tavon Austin highlights and absolutely fell in love. And that's basically who he modeled his game after. So that's why West Virginia's at the top of that list. So unfortunately, a lot of these teams not super interested in Frankie. He did receive scholarships from all of that top 5 other than one though. Texas actually did not offer Frankie a scholarship. So that is quite unfortunate as they were high on his list. But I don't know if that's really going to steer him away from making that decision of becoming a Longhorn. As you see here, a lot of the teams with the most interest aren't actually good school fits. As you see, they're all mostly in the C or D grade range, other than a couple teams like Kansas and Boise State. Other than that, really not a lot of good fits for Frankie, man. A lot better chances to play early on at these schools. But like he told the reporter, Frankie's not too worried about playing early on. He wants to go somewhere where he can develop and eventually, compete for a national championship. And then, move on to the pros. That doesn't mean he's got to be out there going crazy in year 1. So when it came down to it, Frankie sat down with Big Brother Tony and the rest of the family to figure out what he thought the best decision would be. And he's thinking long term here. A wild decision, as a lot of the scouts out there, a lot of the reporters are going to bash Frankie for this. But Frankie is not going to take a scholarship, as we will be walking on at the University of Texas. Let's go. Frankie Foster, going to be a Texas Longhorn. That is right, folks. Looking forward to possibly playing with Arch Manning down the road. Of course, Quinn Ewers the starter right now. But, we're probably not going to be out on that field much. We'll try to fight to get some playing time in the first year. But not sure if we'll get much, folks. Either way, we're looking to grind and improve as much as we can the first couple of years. So that way when Arch takes over as the starter, we should be good to go as a starter as well and hopefully go crazy here with Texas. So there you have it. 3-star prospect, wide receiver Frankie Foster, flying out from Miami to Austin. See the preseason top 25 right there, man. Texas, lots of high expectations this year, ranked 3rd to start this season. So checking out the depth chart, man, we're listed 6th. And also remember, if you don't play in more than 4 games, you will automatically be redshirted. So if we don't end up playing much at all, we could still end up having 4 years of eligibility left after this freshman season. So it's going to be all about developing here in year 1. Lots of good players ahead of us. Just one of them a senior. So we're aiming for year 3, junior season, to hopefully be a full-time starter then. And to see our QBs, man, Ewers is a redshirt junior, so in real life I'm thinking he'll leave after this upcoming season, but in the game here, man, he might stay for these next 2, and then that will line us up to be starting with Arch, both of us going into junior year. Well, we could possibly be a redshirt sophomore at that point, but, that's tons of time down the road, so we'll have to see how it plays out. But that's, the arc I'm going for here. I didn't even mean to do that play on words there. The arc I'm going for, and we're talking about Arch Manning. Oh, goodness. I'm a fool. You gotta let me enjoy myself. I gotta laugh at what I can when I can. But either way, Frankie, gonna continue to try to prove the doubters wrong. Only getting noticed the last couple of years of high school. And again, we had to walk on to Texas here. Didn't even earn that scholarship. Maybe we'll get one eventually at some point. We're going to have to prove ourselves here, and I'm sure Frankie will be able to do that. And that's what he's been all about throughout his life so far, is just having to prove himself. And he's continued to do so far, so we'll see if he can do that as well here in college. So, of course, the main style we're going with here with this route runner archetype is I want to be fast, man. But since we started at 3-star and a low overall, the speed's only starting at 84, which is pretty rough, man. But it's going to cost 11 skill points to be able to upgrade that. So we start with 3 here, and we'll go ahead and start fresh. And I'll go ahead and use these 3 just to help get us boosted up a little bit in one of these categories here. Between route running and hands, I'm sure we'll end up doing both first. But starting off, we'll go hands. Make sure that we are able to catch that ball out there, man. So that helps boost us up a little bit. And then we'll probably use 3 more skill points on the route running once we earn them. And then after that, most likely going to be saving up to try to get that speed up. But 11 skill points, going to be a grind to get to. Especially without us being on the field much this first season, most likely. Here we go, week 0. We'll head into our first practice and see how we do with these wide receiver drills. So your options at receiver for the team practices is the zone attack or the pass skeleton. I'm going to go ahead and try this zone attack to start. So all these practices are going to be very important, man. So that way we can get as much XP as possible, as much coach trust as possible. So that way we can progress throughout this freshman season and hope to, get on that field in our sophomore year a little more. Going on an in route. Frankie, nice catch to start there. So they don't really give you a certain route. You kind of just got to find an opening in the zone. Make sure you make that catch. Oh, nice little zig, and we get in the end zone there. Seems like the middle of the field is wide open every time here, so we'll go ahead and take what they give us. Crossing over the middle again, trying to fight into the end zone. Let's go, touchdown again for Frankie. Let's go for a flag route to the end zone. I figured might as well take a shot. Finally an incompletion though. Go across the middle there, nice catch. Out route, can he hit us? Yes sir, Frankie in the end zone. Last play here, hopefully we get in the end zone to try to get this silver. And we make the catch, but still only enough for bronze, just short of that silver, man. So I'm sure we'll get more used to those drills throughout the season, and I probably won't show them all the time, but you know, a lot of the story here to start is going to be our training and development. So when setting the weekly agenda, a lot of what I'll be doing at first is training. And I'm not going to be too worried about the health being perfect going into games, as I'm not really expecting to play, folks. So we got to try to get as many skill points as we can early on here. So we'll go ahead and put all that into training a couple times, and just 1 energy point left. Like I said, not too worried about the health, but I will use it just in case we end up out there for whatever reason. But yeah, man, we're going to be training a lot when we set these weekly agendas. And of course, you know, it's a bye week as well, so not too worried about that health. And then academic-wise, not too worried about that either. You know, as long as we stay eligible, that's fine. Leadership, probably something I'll worry about a little later on in the career. And then brand, we'll probably work on that a little later as well. But like I said, man, a lot of what we'll be doing here will be training. So here in week 1, we will host Colorado State. Should be an easy start to this season, man. Now, I'm not sure exactly how I'm going to edit this down, because like I said, I don't know how much I'm going to play, if at all. And you know, the weekly agendas will be pretty much setting the same thing most weeks. So if anything wild happens, of course, I'll give you guys some updates and whatnot. But for now, we'll probably just be advancing and moving along with freshman season. And, you know, I'll show you anything that needs to be showed. But other than that, probably won't be getting too much game action. We'll just be training as much as possible here to try to upgrade our player the best we can. And as I expected, no playing time here, but a nice victory to start the season, 26-10 over Colorado State. Got a teammate hitting us up here. Hey, the team has this tradition where the freshmen drive around the juniors and seniors all weekend to wherever they want to go. Just a heads up, I'm not going out. Want me to join you? Oh, goodness. I'm gonna, I don't know. I don't know what I should do here. I'm just gonna drive him. It costs 2 energy. Screw it. Fine. Tough go for the boys here in the second game as we head to Ann Arbor and take a loss. 27-24. A wild game. It was a good one, but unfortunately, the boys couldn't get the job done, so now 1-1 on the year. Got a classmate hitting us up. Good old Delaney. Hey, Frankie, we're going to a party off campus this week. Want to join? Don't you have that lab, though? So I can take the risk and skip the lab, go to this party, or I can decline, which, of course, I'm going to be smart here. Oh, check it out, folks. Frankie Foster's first action coming in the fourth quarter against UL Monroe. We're up 34-10 here. Looks like we're in the slot. Just a run play, but Frankie, first action. Oh, throwing blocks.
They do that after that nice run.
So keep in mind, you can play up to 4 games and still get that red shirt. So, you know, I was expecting, you know, at least one of the blowouts for us to get some playing time, man. So this is just 1 game so far. So we'll see if we end up hitting the 4 games, going over it or not. But I'm thinking we'll stay under the 4 games most likely. But with this being a blowout, they don't want to, you know, play too much with the starters. So it makes sense that we're out here just trying to run the clock out in the fourth quarter with this nice 24-point lead. Oh, Frankie with the pancake block. Love to see that. Well, the game ended up being a little bit closer in the end there than expected with a big fourth quarter from UL Monroe, but hey, pretty cool to see Frankie Foster on the field for the first time getting some action. You know, just out there throwing blocks right now, but the good old OC hitting us up here. Just want to make sure you're reading the playbook. Here's a quiz. If I call pistol trips right, stick, and you're the farthest receiver on the right, what's your route? Pretty sure that's the streak, yeah? Yes, sir. You're just clearing out. What about if we're still in trips right, but we run slot drive? If you're the innermost receiver on the right, what's your route? I believe this concept, you have, the two in routes, basically the shorter dragged and like the 5 to 10 yard in, and then you got on the left side, the receiver is running the comeback, I believe. So I'm going to go with the dig here. Yes, sir. One more, a technique question. What technique might be most effective on a deep crossing route? So you got foot fire or stair step. I'll be honest, I'm not sure. Well, we're going to go foot fire here. Well, hey, at least I got 2 out of 3. We'll take it. See, that's what I thought they meant. It says foot fire is a technique you use getting out of your stance. I thought that's what he meant. It says what technique might be most effective on a deep crossing route. I thought it meant, based off the 2 answers, I thought it meant, off the line. Which I wouldn't do I wouldn't do the stair steps off the line, because if you're doing a deep crossing route, you want to get to that. Right? And that'll help our coach trust get bumped up a little bit. I'm sure if we got all 3, it would have went up a lot more, but hey, we'll take the small bump up. I ain't gonna lie, I definitely wasn't ready for that quiz out of nowhere. Haven't gotten any sort of scenario like that with any of my other Road to Glories yet, so that's interesting. I like that. Keeps you on your toes. Quick little update here as we're coming out of a bye week. As we are in week 7, time for the Red River rivalry against Oklahoma. Definitely a huge game. So even with the 1 early loss to Michigan, we're still number 3 in the country. With Oklahoma at 17, they're 3-2, we're 4-1. So thinking that the boys should be able to get this done. Again, not really expecting to play much. We've just saw some time in one game so far. In the 4th quarter blowout, which we were just, blocking on some run plays, running that clock out. And just a week out from that midterm, we are well prepared for it, man. Definitely looking to try to finish with the best GPA possible, so that way we can try to, graduate early as well. Figure, since we're not playing that much right now, and we're just doing a lot of training, not looking too much at our leadership and brand yet, might as well make sure our grades are looking good. And we are up to another 3 skill points here. Remember, my first upgrade went into my hands here. So with just the 3, we'll go ahead and put it on route running. Definitely want to get that upgraded. So our overall up to a 69 now, and back to 0 skill points. I'll definitely be looking to save up at this point, because we got to get our speed up, man. I think it's a bit wild that we start at 84. I'm guessing, probably because I went with the 3-star story here, but hey, it's fine. I'll just grind to, try my best to get these 11 skill points by the end of the season, so that way we can get our speed up for sophomore year. And then we'll probably continue to work on that going forward before we really worry about too much else. As, I'm thinking this other stuff, I think it all looks pretty solid, honestly. Of course we want to get some of this stuff upgraded over time, but for the meantime, I think the main thing is getting that speed up, because we want to get in the 90s ASAP, man. It's a tight game, folks. Of course it is tied up. We go up late, it's tied again. They go to overtime. Oh man, come on, fellas. Let's go. The boys get the job done in OT. 39-37, the final score. You love to see it. Staying up at the top of the SEC. Definitely learned a lot on the sidelines in this one, watching Bolden as he absolutely went off, man, getting those player of the game honors. Frankie definitely hoping that he can do some of this in his future. I mean, wow. Bolden with 6 catches, 162 yards, and 2 touchdowns. That is a great day there. Let's go. The midterm results are back, and we got straight A's, so go check out that GPA. Should have went up a good amount for sure. So you love to see that. Remember, you got to finish with a 3.7 or higher for those first 3 seasons if you want to graduate early and then not have to worry about academics for that senior season. I'm going to go ahead and wrap things up right there for the first episode of the Frankie Foster Wide Receiver Road to Glory series here on College Football 25. That's right, the 3-star prospect headed to Texas and, just working on our skills, doing what we can while we're buried on this depth chart and, hoping the team, has success while we're continuing to train and try to own in our skills to make sure we're good to go once we get into, our sophomore and junior seasons. But yeah, man, hope you guys enjoyed. Slap that like button if you did. And, subscribe if you are new, as we will be back for episode 2 soon. We'll wrap up freshman season and get into our sophomore year, where we'll look to start vying for some playing time. But yeah, hope you guys enjoyed. That'll do it. Have a nice day. Peace.